Picture this. A man walks into a room, chest puffed out, voice raised, making sure everyone knows he's not someone to mess with. Heads turn, people notice. He feels powerful, sounds impressive. Right? Wrong. Niccolò Machiavelli, the master of power and strategy, would call this man a fool, not because he lacks courage, but because he misunderstands what real power looks like. Machiavelli said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. And here's the problem with acting tough. You don't attract strength, you attract opportunists, enemies, and those waiting for you to fall. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. Usually they're the most insecure." According to Machiavelli, true power hides its claws. Real strength moves quietly. The moment you feel the need to prove how strong you are, you've already lost. Walk into any gym, office, or bar, and you'll see them. Men who confuse volume with authority, aggression with confidence, intimidation with respect. They talk louder than necessary, take up more space than they need, and turn every conversation into a contest of dominance. They think this makes them powerful. Machiavelli disagrees. He says, such men aren't showing strength, they're revealing insecurity. Their behavior screams, "I need you to believe I'm strong because I don't actually feel it." What they don't realize is that everyone watching them is making silent judgments. The wise spot their weakness, the dangerous plan to exploit it, the valuable walk away. Why? Because, as Machiavelli explained, human nature doesn't respect loud confidence. It respects calm confidence. People don't fear visible aggression. They fear intelligent unpredictability. They don't follow the one who demands leadership. They follow the one who demonstrates it. And this misunderstanding leads to the first major mistake. The tough guy escalates situations he can't manage. He writes checks his ability can't cash. He starts fights he can't win. Machiavelli warned, never wage a war you can't win. Yet the modern tough guy breaks this rule constantly, picking the wrong battles at the wrong time with the wrong people. Minor disagreements become major conflicts. Manageable issues turn into disasters. And when reality hits, it hits hard. Here's the harsh truth. Once you escalate, you lose control. The moment you raise your voice or step forward aggressively, you've lit a fuse without knowing how long it is or where it leads. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. A wise man does at once what a fool does last. The fool reacts first and thinks later. The wise man considers every outcome before making a move. But the tough guy runs on emotion, not reason. He gets disrespected at work and lashes out, gets cut off in traffic and starts road rage, gets challenged at a bar and refuses to back down. What he doesn't see is that every escalation is a gamble you can only lose. Best case, nothing happens, and he looks foolish. Worst case, he provokes someone truly dangerous, connected, or intelligent. Because real predators don't act tough. They don't need to. They move quietly, strike precisely, and vanish before anyone realizes what happened. The truly powerful never advertise it. They don't need to win every argument or prove dominance in every room. This is where acting tough turns dangerous. You attract retaliation from people who play the game at a higher level. The quiet guy you insulted turns out to be connected. The woman you intimidated holds influence. The employee you bullied has evidence. Machiavelli called this the fortune of fools, temporary success through ignorance that ends in spectacular failure. The tough guy wins small battles, but loses larger wars. He doesn't even know he's fighting. Everyone sees it coming, except him. While he focuses on looking strong, others focus on being strategic. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But in truth, it's far better to be underestimated than overestimated. Visibility creates vulnerability. Once everyone knows your strength, they begin plotting around your weakness. Yet, the tough guy makes himself the most visible person in every room. His aggression, confrontations, and behavior are always on display. When you become the obvious target, people start solving the problem you've created, not through open confrontation, but through strategy. The office tough guy becomes the subject of HR reports. His aggressive emails get forwarded. His outbursts get documented. His behavior gets noticed, and not in the way he thinks. He believes he's commanding respect, but in reality, others are quietly building a case against him. Machiavelli called this the blindness of the tyrant, the inability to see that obedience often masks resentment, that respect often hides contempt, and that compliance often precedes revenge. In modern life, this shows up everywhere. The gym bully eventually faces someone who actually fights professionally. The workplace aggressor pushes around the wrong employee, one connected to senior management. The social media tough guy insults the wrong person, someone who can sue him or destroy his reputation. What the tough guy never realizes is that in today's world of cameras, recordings, and online footprints, every aggressive act becomes evidence. Every threat becomes documentation. Every display of intimidation becomes ammunition. And when you make yourself a threat, everyone becomes your enemy. Neutrals turn hostile. Potential allies turn against you. Those who could have helped now work to remove you. This is what Machiavelli meant by making yourself odious, becoming a problem others need to eliminate. Here's the career-ending truth about acting tough. It kills your credibility faster than anything else. Credibility is built on predictability, reliability, and competence. But the tough guy is emotional, reactive, and dominance-obsessed. He focuses on winning arguments, not achieving goals. In professional settings, this always backfires. The manager, who leads through fear, loses respect from both bosses and employees. Superiors see instability. Subordinates see insecurity. Machiavelli said, "The best fortress which a prince can possess is the affection of the people." Leadership is influence, not intimidation. Fear-based leadership creates surface obedience, but deep resistance. People follow orders, but don't contribute ideas. They comply, but don't innovate. Meanwhile, your reputation spreads. Stories of your temper become office legends. Your emails get screenshot and shared. Your name becomes a warning. And in any environment, reputation is everything. It decides who trusts you, who collaborates with you, who promotes you. But the tough guy learns this too late. He wonders why he's overlooked for promotions, why people avoid him, why his ideas go ignored. Because, as Machiavelli understood, power flows to those trusted with it, not those who demand it. The tough guy proves the opposite. Every emotional reaction shows a lack of control. Every confrontation shows unreliability. Every attempt to intimidate shows ego over results. And once you're labeled the difficult one, that reputation follows you. References get checked. Stories circulate. Your tough guy act becomes your ceiling. Ironically, the people you mocked as weak rise above you. They chose diplomacy over dominance, strategy over aggression, influence over intimidation. Here lies the greatest irony. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. The performance of strength often hides the reality of weakness. Secure people don't need to prove security. Confident people don't advertise it. Strong people don't constantly show it. The act of being tough reveals insecurity, that you don't feel strong, that you're compensating, and people sense it. Just like we can detect fake laughter, we can detect fake confidence. Machiavelli called this the appearance of virtue without the substance, looking the part without being it, performing strength without possessing it. And once you base your identity on performance, you become trapped by it. You can't show vulnerability without breaking character. You can't ask for help without feeling weak. You can't back down without feeling defeated. This is what psychologists call the imposter trap, living a role that drains you and limits you. Truly strong people live differently. They don't need to prove anything. They're comfortable showing vulnerability when necessary. They ask for help when needed. They back down when strategy demands it. Machiavelli described this balance as the lion and the fox. The lion uses force. The fox uses cunning. The lion can't escape traps. The fox can't fight wolves. Real power requires both. But the tough guy only knows how to be the lion. All aggression, no strategy, all force, no finesse. In a world that rewards adaptability, this becomes a fatal flaw. When aggression fails, he escalates instead of adjusts. He gets louder when he should get quieter. He doubles down when he should pivot. And that's when real strategists strike. They've studied him, spotted his patterns, and know exactly when to exploit them. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. People judge you by what they observe, not what you intend. And what they see in the tough guy isn't power, it's instability." Over time, these people become isolated, socially, professionally, emotionally. Why? Because being around them is exhausting. Every conversation feels like a confrontation. Every interaction requires caution. Strong people avoid that energy. They don't have time for constant conflict. So who stays around the tough guy? Users, manipulators, and weak followers who feel empowered through his aggression. They're not loyal. They vanish when his reputation becomes toxic. Machiavelli warned, "Men who can be useful to a prince are rare. Those who merely appear useful are common." As time passes, the tough guy's isolation deepens. Acting tough requires constant vigilance. He can never relax or show fear. Psychologists call this emotional isolation. Even surrounded by people, he's alone. No one knows the real him, only the performance. And this isolation has consequences. He's excluded from important conversations, left out of strategic decisions, and overlooked for opportunities. Meanwhile, those he dismissed as weak are building relationships, alliances, and influence. Because real power isn't about control, it's about connection. Machiavelli understood that power is not about what you can do to people, but what people will do for you. Not about who fears you, but who trusts you. Not about intimidation, but influence, and influence requires authenticity. But many tough guys can't access that. They've been acting strong for so long, they've forgotten what genuine strength feels like. They've been performing confidence for so long, they've lost real confidence. Machiavelli's most famous line, "It is far safer to be feared than loved," is often misunderstood. He didn't mean fear through aggression. He meant fear through competence. Not fear of your anger, but fear of your consequences. When people fear your aggression, they avoid or plot against you. When they fear your competence, they respect and cooperate with you. Think about the people you truly respect. They're not the loudest, they're the calm, capable ones, whose results speak louder than words. Machiavelli called this the appearance of necessity, when your value is so obvious that opposing you seems foolish, when your capability is so strong that challenging you seems unwise. But that kind of power takes time and consistency. It's built on results, not displays. And here's the ultimate irony. People who focus on being valuable become powerful. Those who focus on appearing powerful become vulnerable. Real power comes from options. When people need your skills, respect your competence, and trust your judgment. None of that requires acting tough. In fact, acting tough prevents it. Because tough guys chase short-term dominance instead of long-term influence. They choose fear over trust. But sustainable power, as Machiavelli taught, comes from being indispensable, not through intimidation, but through contribution. Not feared for danger, but valued for importance. This kind of power is safer because it's rooted in capability, not volatility. You can drop the tough act and gain more respect. People will trust, cooperate, and rely on you. And that's where real influence begins. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does last." The fool acts tough until forced to be strategic. The wise man is strategic from the start and therefore never needs to act tough. When you stop performing strength and start developing it, you become more respected, more trusted, more powerful. Because real strength doesn't shout, it shows up in decisions, consistency, and results. People feel real confidence, not through your words, but through your presence. Machiavelli knew that lasting power lies not in aggression, but in balance. Knowing when to be the lion and when to be the fox. The tough guy only knows one tool, force. Every challenge becomes a battle to dominate, but the strategic person has many tools. Diplomacy, patience, pressure, and persuasion. That's what makes them truly dangerous. Not because they're loud, but because they're calculated. Not because they threaten, but because they deliver. And here's the final irony. Those who stop trying to look tough often become the most formidable. They've learned to be strategic, calm, and effective. They've mastered Machiavelli's greatest lesson, that power is a chess game, not a boxing match. Influence isn't about throwing punches. It's about moving pieces. Real strength isn't about winning confrontations. It's about achieving outcomes. So, the question isn't how can I look stronger, but how can I become more valuable? The smartest move isn't learning to act tougher. It's learning to be strategic, competent, and indispensable, because when you become someone people need instead of someone they fear, when people respect you instead of avoiding you, when they trust you instead of tolerating you, that's when you discover what real power feels like. And it doesn't require acting tough at all. It requires the opposite, the confidence to be genuine, the strength to show restraint, and the wisdom to know that the most powerful person in any room is usually the quietest. Machiavelli taught this 500 years ago. The real question is, how long will it take you to learn what he already knew? If this perspective changes how you see strength and power, let me know in the comments. Which insight hit you the hardest? And if you know someone trapped in the tough guy act, share this with them. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is help someone realize they don't have to perform strength to possess it.